One of the most unforeseen challenges for me was, despite those initial feelings of loneliness, I soon discovered that I wasn't actually alone up there in the mountains. And I remember the day when I saw a wolf run past my tent early in the morning. I wasn't aware there was wolves in the desert. But later on in the evening, a couple of days later, I saw a wolf again, and it's quite an uneasy sort of feeling, being in the desert by yourself, falling asleep at night, knowing there's a wolf lurking in the darkness, I suppose. And it turned out the Arabian wolf isn't actually a particular threat. It's one of the smallest of the wolf family. They're not aggressive towards adults, certainly they'll flee from an adult. And when I saw one in broad daylight, and I caught a little video of it on my phone, it ran away from me. So my fears really were maybe unnecessary to begin with, but it got me thinking about the challenges for Jesus as a child. And although wolves haven't attacked adults as much in Israel, there have been a rise in cases of wolves attacking children. And so if a wolf would attack a child in the 21st century, then certainly in the 1st century, I don't think they've become more civilised over time. And so for Jesus as a 5-year-old, maybe he might have even been younger, that was a real danger. And for his parents, Mary and Joseph, making that long journey up through desert trails and dirt tracks, the long dark nights where they would have had to stay awake through the watches of a night guarding their beloved child. This is a level of anxiety that I hadn't appreciated until I made this trip and saw the wild animals and wondered what it would be like walking this journey with a child. So despite the physical challenges of this expedition, one of the real blessings that I encountered on the way was meeting people colloquially known as trail angels, who took me into their home, who volunteer a hot shower or a hearty meal or a comfy bed or to do my laundry, and they often take in restless wanderers coming through the wilderness. There were some people who had arranged to take in travellers, other people just on the spur of the moment. I remember a group of scientists from Tel Aviv gave me a coffee on a mountaintop. There was a group of Jewish teenagers who gave me hava in the Negev. There's all sorts of people, and I met Jews, Israelis, Arabs, Bedouin shepherds, religious people, non-religious people, old, young, singles, families. All sorts of political persuasions, and the common denominator really in all of them was kindness. And even at the end, as I branched off into the West Bank to see a family I knew in Bethlehem from a previous visit, that same kindness and compassion to me, I was treated like a member of the family. It was really helpful for me, particularly being used to the news which reports stories of conflict and division so much, to be able to see a different side of Middle Eastern culture that would take in a stranger like me and treat me with so much grace and compassion. And I think this is a timeless thing. Like I experienced it, which was wonderful. But Jesus 2,000 years ago would have experienced the same levels of hospitality. Sometimes when he really needed it in his dark night of the soul, I'm sure it would have been wonderful to be taken into a home and given a meal and looked after, and having an actual door so you can physically keep the wolf from the door rather than staying up all night. And so as an adult, Jesus is famous for his teaching on exactly this sort of hospitality of feasts where the lame and the poor and the marginalised are invited in. And of course, even stories like the Good Samaritan, and possibly his most provocative story, shows that for Jesus, hospitality and compassion and unconditional love wasn't just even to your kin or to your friends, it was to sworn enemies. And on the cross, redeeming the rebel next to him, or even looking down and forgiving the very soldiers who drove nails into his wrists. I wondered, did this adult who showed such compassion also experience it on the receiving end as a child? And certainly he would have had to rely on the kindness of strangers, both in the land of Egypt and also walking up through Jewish communities on the way to Nazareth. He would have known great compassion, just like me, from a vast spectrum of different people. And for me as well, the heroes at A21 are of course people who have also chosen to show kindness to someone else's son or daughter. And so for me, I've seen many beautiful sights in the Negev, the magnificent starry skies, the incredible landscapes, and the vast vistas where you can see for hundreds of miles right into the mountains of Jordan and Egypt on the other side. So beautiful, and yet for me, I think the biggest legacy of beauty that I've encountered is really in the hearts of the people who show me such unconditional kindness. So if you want to support A21 as a result of this trip, click on the link at the bottom. For me now in Jerusalem, I'm going to push pause for a couple of weeks and meet some more of these unsung heroes in the land who can teach me a bit more of this extraordinary kindness.